Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call the special council meeting to order and recess it until after the open and closed general purposes committee meeting. So we'll call the general purposes committee meeting to order. May I have a motion on the minutes? All those in favor, opposed, carried. And by the way, just for attendance, Councillor Au is not with us this afternoon. Councillor Heed is online. So the first item of business is the award of the contract on the computer equipment, et cetera. Grant, anything to add to your fine report?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, I have nothing further to add. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. All right, Councillor Galanders.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship, through the chair, to Grant, thank you. I'm just wondering if it would be possible before Monday to get a memo of which contracts have been awarded for which computer services in the last 4 years, because these come up, seems like almost every year, but they're often for 5-year terms, so it must be for different divisions of the departments, but I wouldn't mind seeing a layout of which ones we've done, because we've done a few of them already.
Through Your Worship to Councillor Galanders, there would have been 2 in the last 5 years. One we did specifically for procurement of Apple devices. Yeah. Right, and so that was predominantly iPads and also in some cases MacBooks. That was awarded at that time to Island Key Computer. The one for our standard desktops, Windows-based desktops, laptops, that was done in 2019 originally. So that was the last time we did that award.
All right.
That's what I'm saying is that.
But I can sort of get a memo.
Just give us a memo.
Because there's been other
details.
ones. Yeah, thanks.
Councillor Day.
That sort of answers one of my questions. So it's a 7-year contract. It's approximately $500,000 per year.
Through Your Worship to Councillor Day, yeah, this is based on the life cycle that we maintain for our assets, and so we typically run computers for 5 years and then refresh on the 6th year. And so typically with our fleet, it's about a $600,000 per year cost.
Well, I guess we got a lot of computers. When they're at the end of their life for the city, they still have a life left in them. Is it possible to, void out the memory of them and give them to like schools or other organizations?
Sorry, I turned you off there.
I wasn't finished.
Yeah. It was just the last couple sentences.
Yeah, so just like with the firefighters, when they have equipment that's no longer according to our Canadian standards, they often will ship it off to, like maybe a country like Bolivia or something where it's perfectly good for them. Like, do we do anything to try to make sure that those computers go to somebody?
Yeah, so through Your Worship to Councillor Day, these computers are all within our circular economy, and so we typically will go through a recycling process. After 5-6 years, most of these class of assets have very little actual value, in terms of resale or for consumer. We typically will remove hard drives and shred hard drives on these computers to make sure that there's no asset or no data at all on them, and then you go through a recycling process. But no, we don't typically auction them or sell them off to other parties.
Maybe I misspoke. I was more donating, because I know that I spoke to some people recently, and they get computers from businesses, and then they void the memory on them, and then repurpose them by giving them to kids that are maybe in high school that can't afford a computer. And I just wonder if there wouldn't be a way to not recycle but repurpose.
Yeah, through Your Worship to Councillor Day, we actually did try that back in about 2014 timeframe. Recall that we were going through a cycle where we were giving them or donating them to an organization for reuse, and actually it did not actually work that well. We ended up having a lot of them not being picked up. They chose not to take them, right? And so I think after about 3 years of doing that program, it kind of ended up stopping. And so no, we just went down a recycling path.
Okay, good. Thanks for those answers.
Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, just quickly, just following up on that with this amount, would this bring us up to date? Basically, are you saying that our computers are not up to date, so to speak, in terms of technology and capabilities, et cetera? And do we have a schedule of capabilities? You mentioned 5 years ago, et cetera. Where are we in terms of the latest technology?
Sure. Through your worship to Councillor McNulty, we believe, based on our best practices and research we've done, that 5 years is actually an optimal timeframe for a life cycle. Because we've maintained that 5-year cycle, our technology has been relatively up to date. A good example is with the advent or introduction of Windows 11, there now is a requirement that computers have a module called TPM, which means Trusted Platform Module. It's a security chip, effectively, that is there for encryption purposes to essentially ensure that such things as fingerprints and different biometric data is protected on the computer. Many people are having challenges upgrading to Windows 11 because their computers are out of date, okay, because they have not maintained them. We have not had that challenge with our fleet at all. And so all the computers that we've maintained have all been upgradable, and we've had no issues whatsoever. So we do maintain currency in context of our technology.
Just another follow-up, if I may, Your Worship. In terms of our firewall, in terms of getting hacked, I know it's not the value of the computers, but do we have a computer and systems where we can have the latest firewalls coming in? For example, I'm not sure, but just my own, if I may use it, in McAfee, is blasting out all over the place, everywhere you turn, and they're breaking the firewalls to get in to tell you your computer needs upgrading and you got a virus. Is that part of do we get that with the computers, or is that a special budget?
Yeah, so through your worship to Councillor McNulty, our security platform is actually based on many layers of defense. We have, of course, enterprise corporate firewalls that protect the organization as a whole. Those firewalls are maintained and kept up to date in terms of capabilities and firmware. With the last capital budget process, we did have a project where we were looking to refresh that hardware, which Council did support. And so we will have a project this year to update that technology with newer hardware. In addition, with Windows 11, of course, Windows comes with built-in firewalls on each computer, which protects these endpoints in addition to that. And of course, that is configured as well within our environment as a different layer of protection. And then we also have something called an enhanced data protection environment in our tool, where we have a specific software that is monitoring activities and ensuring that processes and things are not running erroneously, which may be a result of bad actors or of bad activities. And so I can't get this specific here. We would have to go in the close and talk about specific things. But in the context, we have many layers and many different areas of defense that do protect our environment comprehensively.
Okay, thank you.
All right, someone want to move it?
Moved.
Discussion further? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Grant. Proposed update to the demolition waste and recyclable materials bylaw. So this is to put into bylaw form what we've already seen. That's the idea?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay. Someone want to move it? Moved and seconded? Okay, we've got some questions here. Councillor Wolf.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Just to clarify with staff, so it says with the single one and two family dwellings on our page 12 in the table 1 there, that we're aiming to get the 2 phases, one phase 80%, second phase 90%. But then earlier in the report, you mentioned that we're already getting 85% diversion rate with 95% compliance rates. So for that one, could we not potentially bump up the dates by like 6 months? Like, could we not aim for the 80% target by July of this year, and then January of 2029 for that second target?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, a phased-in implementation approach has been supported by the industry unanimously. In fact, through our engagement process and engagement reach, it has been a priority ask and a key ask. It was suggested that the lead time and the phased-in approach would allow all builders and developers, small or large, to adjust their business models, really understand what the changes are, and also prepare appropriately for salvage and reuse. And the proposed time would also allow the staff to develop a very comprehensive range of support mechanisms that are outlined on Table 2, GP 13.
Okay, so I guess my request is about that lead time, you referred to it, right? So I'm thinking of shortening the time from now to that lead time. Only for that part of it, I think the dates for the diversion of multifamily and non-residential maybe are more suitable to the recommended dates, because for that, we haven't seen, well, that's going to be my next follow-up question, is on average, what are we seeing diversion rate for the multifamily and the non-residential?
To the chair, to Councillor Wolf, currently all bylaw is not covering the multifamily or the rest of the building. It's just focusing on the 1 and 2 dwelling unit. That's the reason that we don't have statistics about that buildings. And the 1 and 2 dwelling units, the average is 85%, but we have lower also percentage than 80% at this stage.
Are we able to ballpark it? Like, are we 50% diversion rate, multifamily, non-residential, or are we even further below 50? Like right now, are we even close to this? Like maybe even that lead-in date, January 5th, 2027, should be further, because like if we have no data right now to set both of these at the same dates, it just doesn't seem right.
So the chair, to Councillor Wolf, the engagement process in working with the large developers and companies, they prove that they are above the 80% at this stage, because it makes sense for them from the economic perspective to divert the material instead to send to the landfill, because the costs are lower and making better opportunities for them in the business perspective.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So you have 70% diversion rate by weight and 85% diversion rate. Can you explain the difference or explain what that means?
To the chair, to Councillor Day, 70% is the current target that we have in the bylaw, and the average in the analyzing the submission that we have since the bylaw is in place is 85%.
Oh.
That number can go between 70 by bigger than 85%, but the average right now is 85%.
So with 556 demos, that's a very impressive record. I mean, I'm hearing what Councillor Wolf says. Why would we wait till January 7th of 2027 if we're already exceeding the diversion rates for demolition waste now?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, we've had the opportunity to re-engage the industry since the council direction in October, and industry came back and supported the phased-in approach.
Okay, so it's not that we can't do it, they just want to have a little bit of elbow room.
That's correct.
You know, the key to any successful business is to find a need and fulfill it. And I think if we could get more people working in these, recycling, I mean, if the product is there, there's a business there, and it can be profitable. So good work. Thank you.
Councillor Liu.
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you for this report, and I think it's a good news story that the industry is already beating what we're asking them to do. And so it seems to me that maybe we don't need to codify something into a bylaw if people are already doing it. I am wondering too about this administrative fee for unclaimed securities. Do we have a lot of unclaimed securities? Like, is it really going to take somebody $1,000 a year to return their money to them?
To the chair, to Councillor Liu, that is the fee that we are including here is because people is not coming back to paying the refundable fees, and it's a way also to allow the city to reduce the retained money that we have right now.
Is that true? Because like when I talk to the developers, I find that they're struggling to get their money back in various different things. So maybe we need a better methodology of tracking all the different deposits we have that we're holding on to for people, because it seems to me that we're like this big morass of deposits with the developers that, so if they're missing it, if we owe them money, it's because they're missing something because they have all these millions of different papers on the same project. So I would suggest that it should be under one general thing, and there shouldn't be a fee on receiving this, because we certainly wouldn't pay a fee if we delayed paying somebody else $1,000. Okay. So we're already beating it. The developers did say that they would prefer a phased approach, but did they actually say that they prefer not actually changing the rules? Were they given an option on changing the rule, phasing it in, or bringing in the rule now? How many options were they given?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, during our engagement process, all options were considered, and in the end, the industry and stakeholders weighed in on an equitable phased-in approach that would work for builders and developers of all sizes, small or large.
Okay, because I think that where we are right now, we've got a tightening up of the industry right now. I don't think we're going to be seeing a ton of development in the next little while. I think this is just another one of those 1,000 cuts, little cuts that we're making into the industry. I think we should just hold the course right now. I think we can implement it further later. If we're already getting good diversion rates, I don't think we need to change bylaws, but I think we can just carry on with what we're doing. I think the work that you've done is important to identify it and to measure it. And I think if the industry is already doing it, it's already there. So I don't think that we need to add a rule to everything that's already happening. So thank you.
Councillor McNulty?
Yeah, thank you. I want to make a comment and then five items here. We keep hiding behind the industry said, the industry standard. Where's the made in Richmond recycling? Where's ours? I don't care what Port Moody does or Vancouver or Kelowna. I worry about what we do. You've given us a good report. We're at a diversion rate of 85%. Marvelous. The rest of them, they haven't caught up to us yet. But are we going to stop because they haven't caught up? It's like running a race. Oh, you're behind me. Wait till you come. You know, I think we better change our mentality and our attitude on that. I'd be quite frank with you. Especially when your diversion rate's 85, compliance 95. It shows we're doing things. So, and I agree with some of the comments. One, I think the date should be moved up. I agree with Councillor Wolf and whatever. I agree with Councillor Liu in terms of where we are. Do we need a bylaw? On page 12, down at the bottom, the fee structure and implementation plan, is that the actual, through the chair, is that the actual cost that we need to look after recycling of a single-family dwelling or multifamily?
To the chair, to Councillor McNulty, yes, that's the actual fee. It's a non-refundable fee that is paid, $302. And later per square foot is 3.75. In the case of the multifamily, we are limiting by $75,000 the fee that they need to pay, and that is refundable. And that was large support by the multifamily and industrial, commercial, institutional.
So those are the costs to us then?
Yes.
We're not making any money on here.
And to the chair, to Councillor McNulty, no, the only are non-refundable is the current $302.
Because I guess my comment here is, and I agree with the unclaimed security, you know who's paying for that? It's not the developer. It's the person who's buying the homes down the road when it's redeveloped. That's who's paying for it. We're not making homes affordable. We're tacking on more at the end that the developer has to charge in order to continue. So I think when we look at that, I think we lead, not follow. So I appreciate those comments, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure we should put it in a bylaw as well as opposed to a practice and a policy on it, because I think some of these things need to be re-examined, especially the security. I think it's amazing, listen to developers, and I know Councilor Liu has done the same, when we have money tied up and they're paying interest when they ask for the money for the project. If it's 100 million, they start paying it. If we're holding 2 million or 3 million, they're paying interest while we're holding the money. We don't give them the interest on their money while it sits here at City Hall. And that, again, pushes the cost of housing up. I think we need to start being smarter, and I wish the provincial government was in the same vernacular in terms of thinking about how to get affordable housing, and it's not on the same path that we're doing right now. We've got to cut some of these fees out and repay as fast as possible. So anyhow, we'll hear what the rest of the discussion is, Your Worship, but I'd like to see a made enrichment policy on this whole thing. We have a good scenario right now. We're doing good things even though we don't have a bylaw. So let's not mess it up. Let's keep doing the good things. If we've got compliance, let's go with it and on it. So, but I really have, I'd like to see the administrative fee, a policy on that developed before we even pass that and have that taken out for now. Okay, thank you.
Councilor Wolf.
Yeah, thanks. Another question came up, but before that, just to add to Councillor McNulty's discussion there, I think part of the need for this in bylaw form is, from my experience on the Zero Waste Committee with Metro Vancouver, and just simply knowing that our waste basically goes three places. One, it goes to the Vancouver landfill in Delta, goes to the waste energy facility in Burnaby to get burned, or it goes to a far away landfill that costs a lot more, and many of those are in the States, and we know what's kind of happening across the border. So this is going to be needed. We are going to need to have higher waste diversion. And so my other question is, I know Councilor McNulty says, don't care what's happening in other places. I do want to know, is this leading edge? Because we don't want to follow, we want to lead. So does this put our industries I guess, at the lead edge of diversion sooner? Or are there other municipalities that are even further?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the proposed changes would bring us in alignment with Metro Vancouver and other regional municipalities at this point. There are some municipalities where the diversion rate is at 90%.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So with that, the motion's on the floor. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? So that's carried with Councilors Liu and McNulty opposed. Brings us to the other item that I put on the agenda. You've got the matter in front of you, and the idea is to have a resolution that should Councillor Au resign, we would, as a council, decide not to have a by-election. Now, of course, the Councillor Au, it's voluntary as to whether he resigns, but he obviously doesn't want to trigger the cost of a by-election as a previous councillor did, costing the city most of $1 million. So the idea is to resolve that we'll not hold a by-election to fill the vacancy should Councillor Au resign. So I'll move that. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, as I mentioned last time, in the last meeting, Your Worship, there is an intention. Do we have a date? The problem here, Your Worship, is if he doesn't resign, even though we decide, we're making a judgment before we have an actual fact. Nobody has resigned yet, and yet we're prejudging. And you remember the case with Councillor Mobby, where he made up his mind ahead of time and did things in the Supreme Court on it. And I'm concerned about making up our mind before. No, I don't want to see a by-election in any case, but we also don't have a resignation in front of us. we have no idea when there will be a resignation. I've seen nothing in writing. I would ask the clerk, do we have a resignation? Through you to the clerk?
No, we don't. We have an indication from Councillor Al that he
Only an indication.
plans to resign if there's no
So we
by-election.
want to pass an item before the things happen, before the card.
Let's ask our legal counsel. Tony, is that okay?
Through your worship, to Councilor McNulty, in my view, the resolution is defensible. The legislation stipulates that the provisions of the community charter are to be interpreted broadly, having regard to the purposes. I do acknowledge the fact that on a strict reading of the section, the sequence would be resignation and then the resolution that's before you. That said, Councillor Al has expressed his intention to resign. However, there's a proviso that he has given, and that is that the by-election not be challenged. If this resolution is challenged by the minister or any other person, the simple remedy would be to simply pass it again. So there's no real downside risk. However, this resolution does facilitate the resignation of Councillor Al, which he has expressed an intention to do.
But we don't have any specific facts when, where, and how.
Correct. We don't have any specific facts. All we have is his intention that he will resign, or that he will resign if he has comfort that there will be no by-election announced.
Yeah, thank you for now.
Councillor Galanders.
Yeah, thanks. Sort of having the same train of thought after seeing it written out like this. And I appreciate the work that was put into wording something that would give the assurance that there wouldn't be a by-election if someone stepped down. But just even seeing the title of the motion being called Councillor Chak Au, I mean, why isn't it called the subject of by-election in an election year?
I propose this resolution. I wouldn't take anything from the heading.
Okay, but it's, you know, it should be that Councillor Al wanted some assurance from the rules around the elections if him stepping down would trigger a by-election or not. We've learned that since it's after a certain date, that it would just require a council resolution to not have a by-election. So that should be enough assurance for him to be able to step down and say, there doesn't need to be a by-election as long as council decides not to. So I've decided I'm going to step down, whereas I will only step down if the motion's already been made. That it doesn't seem, it's definitely putting the cart before the horse. Nobody has resigned yet. I think that Councillor Au should be able to step down, and then we make our resolution that we will not have a by-election. I think it would be on this council. If this council decided to do a by-election, they would have to defend having an election in July, right before, because it takes about 6 months to have a by-election, right before a general election. I think we've all, most of us or all of us have stated that we wouldn't do that. You know, it feels like it's not, that Councillor Au is protecting Richmond from having a by-election, but it's actually, the decision would be made, you know, after he steps down. He needs to just make his decision. I'm not going to hold it up. I'm not going to fuss about it. I would prefer to change the very last paragraph to fill the vacancy in the event of a councillor resignation, you know, rather it being just his. But I won't belabor it, but it does definitely seem like this is something we could have done after he steps down. And I just want to say one more comment. I don't think that we should, in the event that somebody stepped down midterm, such as the councillor who did that before, that was the right thing for this council at the time. There was another 1.5 years, 2 years to serve. Councillor Hobbs got elected in that period. This is a full-time position and it requires full-time representation. And that was the right move for democracy. Yes, it cost a bit of money and some people didn't appreciate that, but it was the right thing to do. So I don't think we should compare and say that that wasn't the right thing to do and Chak Au somehow doing the right thing. We have by-elections for a reason. This position is supposed to be filled for a reason. So I don't think that councillor made the wrong decision, and I don't think we should be comparing that. Those are my thoughts.
Counselor Wolf.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with both previous councillors' comments. I guess question first to the mayor. Are you taking public delegations on this item? From
Nope.
people? Oh, okay. My other thought was if I put my name in place of Councillor Chakow's in these 3 locations, I would hope that it wouldn't get supported. So I don't support it the way it is.
So you want to change it in some way? You want to change it in some way? Well, no, tell us how you want to change it.
I would remove the first whereas clause. I would only have the second whereas clause. And then the therefore clause, I would remove Chak's name and just have a councillor's resignation be contemplated.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Okay, first of all, the whereas clause is not part of the resolution, but you want to remove the first to say Councillor Chakow has expressed his intention. And then you'll just leave the second paragraph. And then the third paragraph would say, will not hold a by-election to fill the vacancy in the event of any resignation. Okay, you want to move that amendment? Okay, okay. So the amendment is on the floor to take out the first paragraph, removing the idea that Councillor Au is a part of it. Secondly, the second one stays in. And the third one is to say that we're not going to have a by-election to fill any vacancy, or the vacancy of any, to fill the vacancy in the event of any resignation that's contemplated in this resolution. Okay, so on the amendment, Councillor Hobbs.
Thanks.
On the amendment.
Yep, on the amendment. As presented, I support the amendment. I do have one question, and that's for legal. And that is, I just want to hear your opinion on whether that is any substantial change to the meaning or intent of what we're presenting here today.
Through your worship to Councillor Hobbs, I do believe that it does have some impact.
What is the impact?
I view it as on a spectrum. There's one which is complete hypothetical. There's the second, which is the version that's currently before council, which is not a hypothetical, it's real, it's specific to a specific councillor. And then the third, which is the most defensible, is the sequence where someone resigns, then you have the resolution. So this is pushing it to the other end of the spectrum. There would be arguments made to defend it, but the context is removed because there's no indication of Councillor Au anywhere in the resolution.
Okay, just to clarify that in my own mind then, I understand there's no reference to Councillor Au, yet it is, in my opinion, and I'm trying to get you to confirm it, generic enough that it still accomplishes the task. And the main task here, from my point of view, isn't personal to do with any one councillor, whether I get hit by a bus tomorrow or whatever. It's to ensure that we don't have a by-election for a vacancy in this term. So does it accomplish that? All positions can have arguments made against them, so
Okay. Anyone else on the amendment?
is the answer to that yes?
On the amendment, yes.
Okay, we'll go to Councillor Heed on the amendment.
Yes, I'm not in favor of the amendment. And I got to tell you, the inertia that's created here on this discussion, and it has to deal with Councillor Au, doesn't have to deal with anything else right now. I can't believe that we're getting so bogged down in this stuff that we cannot go on with this. Mayor, the original motion, I'll get to that when the time's right, was the motion put forward, let's get on with business. I am absolutely opposed to the amendment.
All right, anyone else on the amendment? Councillor Day on the amendment.
Yeah, I think that the amendment does make sense because in this particular case, it's council making the decision, not based on somebody else's actions. And I think that council should always be, you know, the one making the decision on something as important as this. So I think it just simplifies it and it makes sense, and I'll be supporting the amendment.
Counselor Golanders, are you on the amendment?
That's fine.
And Counselor Liu, are you on the amendment?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I like the idea of making it neutral and taking Councillor Au's name out of it. However, listening to what legal has suggested in saying that it reduces our defensibility of the motion itself is compelling reason not to change it to me. So I will not be supporting the amendment. I think what we want to do is make sure that we don't have a by-election. It does specify resignation, so in both cases it specifies resignation, so it's not contemplating the event that death or dismemberment or other things preventing people from doing their jobs. It's just under the circumstance of resignation. I think it makes sense to deal with what we've got in front of us, so I'll be not supporting the amendment.
All right, Counselor McNulty, are you on the amendment?
Yes, on the amendment. Thanks very much. Sorry about that. Just process, could legal go back over how this will not be, if we change it, make it neutral, the defensibility? You kind of either got shut off there on the mic or whatever. So it'll make it more difficult for us.
Through your worship, to Councillor McNulty, in my view, in my opinion, there's a spectrum. One is the least defensible is the generic without reference to any counselor. Then moving towards the most defensible is the middle ground, which is reference Councillor Au, so that it's no longer a hypothetical. It's a real situation. The absolutely most defensible is at the extreme other end of the spectrum, which is follow the sequence on a strict reading of the legislation, which is resignation, then the resolution. So we're not at the extreme end because of the facts that are before us. And so the middle ground, I believe, is defensible. The generic version without a reference to a counselor, I think, is the least defensible.
All right, thank you. And they, procedurally, if this passes, it goes to the special council meeting immediately tonight?
After closed, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing any problem with defensibility of this. And I'm not seeing any effective difference in taking Councillor Au's name out of it. I will say, if that makes you feel more comfortable, that's fine, I'll support the amendment, but I don't think it makes any real difference. It just says that there's this procedure, and if there's a resignation, we won't have a by-election. And if Councillor Au's name isn't attached to it, I just don't see any difference whatsoever. So, Councillor Glanders, are you on the amendment?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, and I appreciate your comment. I also agree, and I just want to point out, we don't have any legal requirement at this time to do this motion anyway. This motion is to give Councillor Au the assurance that we're not going to have a by-election, and then if there needs to be one more official thing said after the fact, that's fine, but this does the job for now, and we're under no legal obligation to do anything yet. There is no vacant seat yet. So this is the motion that I'm definitely comfortable with the amendment. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to call the question on the amendment. All those in favor? Those opposed? Councillor Heed, I take it you're opposed?
Correct.
Okay, so that's carried with Councillors Heed and Liu opposed. All right, so we're now back to, it's carried. We're back to the main motion as amended to take Councillor Au's name out of it. Any further comments? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? Just a minute. I see someone running. Councillor Heed, did you want to speak to the main motion as amended?
Well, just to clarify for my sake, does the amended motion supersede the main motion, or do we still reflect back? Because now, since the amended motion is passed, I don't see the necessity to have this
No.
motion, I guess.
No,
So just-
the motion to amend is passed. So now what is on the floor, you can cross out the first paragraph, and the third one will take Counselor Au's name out of it and just say it's effective for any resignation. That's what's on the floor, and that's what we'll vote on.
Yeah, I guess when I can, Mayor, my turn, I just want to make a comment on this.
Go ahead.
I cannot believe that we are making such an issue out of this. The only reason we're here right now is because Councillor Au was elected as a member of parliament. We wouldn't be discussing this if it was something else. If that didn't happen, we wouldn't be here. I cannot believe that we had to go through all of this in order for this. No wonder our constituents get so frustrated with our inertia here sometimes. I just can't believe it, and I'm not pointing the finger at anyone, but I've got to say is this is something that should have been a slam dunk, vote it, it's gone, Chacal's resigned, we're not having a by-election, let's go on with business until the next election. I just, Mayor, it's a little bit of frustration coming out of me with the fact that I don't know if we're politicizing this to a particular point or we're just trying to be so buried in, even at one point, I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it if we're trying to be vindictive. Thank you.
All right, Counselor Day.
Yeah, I just.
On the main motion.
I definitely will support the main motion. This would have been a lot cleaner and a lot simpler if even last fall, Councillor Au had made the motion, or made the declaration that he will be retiring on January 1st, but he didn't. So now we have a situation where people and his constituents are questioning, why are you trying to do, two jobs poorly when you could just do one job well? So we wouldn't be here having this conversation at all if Councillor Au had just done what we all expected him to do all along. So I'll be supporting the motion, and I'm glad this is going to be done and we can move on.
I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Counselor Heed, are you opposed?
No, I'm in favor.
Okay, so it's carried. All right, we're now adjourned, and I'll call the closed meeting of the General Purposes Committee meeting to order. May I have a motion on closure compliance in the agenda? All those in favor, opposed, carried.